Hi. Hi, Jenny. Hi, anybody who is watching this. If you are, I can't see you yet because we have just gone live. So do say hi in the comments. We are going live on LinkedIn and in the Blue 9 Facebook page. So I will be able to see comments from both of these thanks to using StreamYard. It shows me any comments that you make. Hi, Jenny. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for coming along to this chat. How are you? How's Scotland treating you today?
First of all, thank you for inviting me to come and chat with you. I'm doing okay, although I'm missing the sunshine. We had 2 glorious weeks of sunshine, and now the rain and cloud is back. And never mind.
I know, and it is just in time for the children's school holiday, which in my memory always happens. So you have this beautiful part. We had English language holidays for the last few weeks. Beautiful sunshine. Like, some people never saw rain. They were in Scotland for 2 weeks and they never saw rain.
Unheard of.
And now, just in time for the schools to come out, we've got an overcast sky. As you can see, I'm sitting here with my lights on, my jacket on, my scarf on, and yeah, it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing, is it?
Definitely not.
No. Okay. So I have invited you along today to talk to us about your online English teaching and your English coaching. Should I use coaching or teaching for you to begin with?
Either is fine.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely have a foot in both camps. I'd say you have the coach's ability to bring out the best of your students and to get them performing really well. And I can say this because quite often in my online teacher feature, I haven't had the pleasure of being in the classroom with my online teachers. I just follow them and know their values from social media and from the form that I asked them to complete, telling me about their work. But I have been a student of yours. I've taken part in your pronunciation coaching workshop, not just not as a speaker, but to improve my teaching. So it's absolutely incredible the way that you involved the room and held the room and gave people the confidence to make those crazy noises that they needed to make. It was just like, there was people that I thought, oh no, they're not going to do this. And not only did they do it, they loved it. So yeah, well done. But I'm probably going too far and I should too fast. So we can just start a little bit about pronunciation as well, because this is your expertise. This is your main skill in teaching.
Yeah.
Okay. How did you get into pronunciation coaching?
Honestly, within my teaching career, it's only been very recently that I've got into pronunciation. So when I first started teaching, I was probably like most teachers where I would just correct anything that I didn't understand or something that didn't sound quite right, which, yeah, it's quite normal. You correct what they say, give them your pronunciation, and then hopefully they repeat it back in a better way. But then when I'd been teaching for about 8 years, I decided that I needed to improve my teaching skills generally. I kind of felt like I was stuck in the rut doing the same things each week, and I just wanted to improve my skills generally. I had no idea what would come out of it, but I decided to do a diploma in TESOL, which was the next qualification for me. And it took me best part of 2 years to get my qualification. But during those 2 years, I learned so much. And the part of the course that had the biggest impact on me was about the pronunciation. Mm-hmm. And during the course, I started using the tips and tricks that I was learning in my own classroom, and the impact it had on my students was just incredible. Their confidence increased, they were more willing to speak, they were having fun with the language, and seeing that for my students was just amazing. And that was, for me, I got everything and more that I wanted from doing the diploma just because of the pronunciation. I also learned a lot more beside that, but this has been the key driver for me now. So I was working in a school at that point, but then obviously the pandemic hit us, and in 2020 the school that I had been working at closed down. So I decided to move online and start up my own language school. I say language school. At the moment, it's just me. In the future, I hope that will change. But yeah. And at the beginning, I was just saying yes to any student who asked me for classes. But I soon realized that actually that wasn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to help people with their pronunciation. So I have slowly been working towards that goal.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that we all learn as English language teachers. We want to help everyone, and in some ways we can give a little bit of help to a lot of people. But when you find your match, when you find your niche that you can help the people who need you, the job satisfaction is so much better. The hours are better because you're not like designing a class for 50 different people, but you are just, and you get that chance to just keep informing yourself as an expert and sharing your knowledge with this core group of people that might keep changing, but essentially it's like this match, this fit. This is really what we're all aiming for in terms of finding our client, and it's what our client needs as well. They need the person who only you can help them, rather than, well, just like a general English teacher can help them a little bit, but find the people you can get the best results for fastest. And as just speaking for myself, it's the best way to have fun when you're working as well.
Absolutely.
Because you're talking to people who, like, not only can you help, but like, I think you probably have styles in common or values in common. And like I asked you a long time ago about who you didn't want to work with, and you're like, people who don't want to be taught. It's like, we've all done it. From that, people who are ready to learn and ready for that challenge. And of course you need to help them with it, and sometimes they have a low day that you need to motivate them, but not people that you have to drag to show up. That's just a bit boring.
Okay. Honestly, it's a waste of your time and a waste of their time.
Yeah. And I worked for a language school too. When I was wasting their time, I was, it was okay. That was the contract. Now that you work for yourself, time's different and has much more value, and your time has more value. Okay. So tell me a little bit about working online. How do you find your people? Who do you teach? And
so I have made a lot of connections, mainly through LinkedIn, actually. I think 90% of my clients have come from connections on LinkedIn. The other 10% have come from referrals from those clients, which has been really nice. And I, other than your workshop, I have only worked online since 2020. And I use Zoom like many people, and I find that quite easy to use for everybody. Most people know how it works, and the way that I work is mainly through conversation, because I don't claim to have all of the answers, but I want people to discover different aspects of pronunciation for themselves, and to be able to, whether they use it in their own speech or whether they use it to be able to understand better, depending on what their goals are, it can be really helpful to just discuss the different possibilities and understand how it all works.
I believe that you work with quite a lot of advanced speakers as well. I sometimes describe your work as taking people to the next level of being able to speak English fluently.
Yeah,
so people
definitely.
that perhaps are already fluent but just aren't confident in their fluency.
Yeah, exactly. So it can be really easy to get to a certain level of English because it's everywhere. It's in movies and songs and things all around the world. And so most people can get to a certain level of English, but then getting them that little bit higher, depending on what they want to do, can be really motivational for some people, and having that little extra push. So as you said, being fluent and having the confidence in your pronunciation are two different things. So this is actually something that I spoke about in my blog post last week. Pronunciation comes in different layers. So the very basics, you need to understand how the words are pronounced so that you can communicate with another person in English. And then the next step is perhaps understanding contractions. So saying can't instead of cannot. And all of these aspects you learn as the basics. And once you're a fluent speaker, you know those things. But actually going that little bit further to understand how connected speech works, to understand how intonation works, to understand sentence stress and word stress and how this affects the connotations in what you're saying can be the difference between being a good speaker in English and a great speaker in English.
Not just speaking, but understanding as well. Like when you know how connected speech works, it's the difference between arriving in a city in the UK and listening to the people around you and understanding. Because the words are the same. If they were transcribed, it would look the same as the English you've learned. But of course, the way the words run together and the emphasis is just so very different. It can really terrify people when they first get here and disappoint people. I have so many students who say, I thought my English was better, don't understand. And yeah, you can help these people. You can help them by kind of showing them what the language is doing and how it's working in these situations.
Yeah.
Okay. I believe you work with a lot of teachers, English language teachers.
I do. I've been working with a lot of teachers over the last couple of years, mainly because I want to spread this information about pronunciation, because I feel that it's so important for all learners of English. And so if I can help teachers understand a little bit more about how pronunciation works, hopefully they'll then be able to pass that information on to their own learners. And so this will hopefully have a bigger ripple effect.
It's like what you said about when you were studying, you were immediately implementing that in the class and seeing immediate results. So, you know, hopefully they can too. So are you involved in the teacher's lesson plans, or you're just coaching the teacher personally and then allowing that information to then ripple into the classroom?
So when I work with the teachers, I don't specifically help them with their lesson plans, but I do give them or we talk about activities that they could use in the classroom to demonstrate certain aspects of pronunciation. So I'm not telling them what they should do. They're the teacher of their class. They know best what to do for their students. But we do discuss different possibilities that can be included in the classroom.
You had a lovely exercise for my workshop with the transcription. Can you tell everybody a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. So when we look at a script, a bit of writing, we can see the individual words and we hopefully know what the words mean. But even if we don't, we can look them up in the dictionary. But how it looks on paper is very different to how it would sound in real life. So what I love to do with my students is ask them to read it out loud and record themselves reading the text before we've done any work on it. So just read the text, no stress, just to find out where they're at, whether there are any specific sounds that they find difficult sometimes for certain students, but mainly with the idea of them having a baseline to work from. And then during the session, we'll focus on certain sounds. So this could be vowel sounds, for example. So long and short vowel sounds like the E and the I was one of the sounds that we looked at in your workshop. And also aspects of connected speech. So how do some words join together depending on whether there are vowel sounds there or consonant sounds. Once we've done all of the work on the different sounds, depending on what we're focusing on, at the end of the session, I then ask the students to record themselves reading the text again, so that they can then make the comparison between their first recording and the second recording. And for the students, it's just amazing what a difference there is just from an hour session.
Yep.
it's quite incredible what changes they can make to their own pronunciation.
Yeah, and I saw it in front of my eyes. It was just absolutely lovely. And they all left just walking on air. They were so confident. They'd nailed it. So yeah, it is it's like I know you can work on confidence in speaking English in different ways, and including mindset and but just this pronunciation is just such a tangible thing that you can point to, and it's so memorable. It's not anything you forget. I heard once that vocabulary is the first thing you learn and pronunciation's the last thing you master. But then when it comes to forgetting a language, you lose all your vocabulary really quickly. If you're rusty, you forget the words, but you still know how to pronounce the language. So it's like this, the way that the brain absorbs the language is just beautifully suited to learning through pronunciation, as well as just having, pronunciation sprinkled over the top, which I think language schools are a bit guilty of.
Definitely. And I think the idea of using pronunciation, you're using your voice, but it's also emotional because you're using your voice in different ways and you're understanding the language in a deeper level. And so because you've got that emotional connection to the pronunciation, your brain is more likely to remember it.
So if you work with teachers a lot, I'm thinking you've got a busy summer coming up because teachers have holidays and they might be training themselves during the holiday.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got several teachers who I only work with during the summer. So during the term time, for some teachers, it's too much to do all their lesson planning and teaching and do a language course as well. But over the summer, they take the time to refresh their English if they can't make it over to the UK for a trip. This can be a really nice way to do it.
And are you working with people one-on-one or in workshops or?
So some clients I have one-to-one classes with, but I've also got a couple of group courses over this summer. So for the first time, I'm trialing a new course. This one isn't specifically for teachers. It's for anyone who is wanting to improve their pronunciation. And it's just a half-hour session twice a month. And within that session, you'll have a chance to speak and then get personalized feedback on your intonation and pronunciation so that you can reduce your hesitancy, so that you can increase your fluency and, of course, increase your confidence as well.
Absolutely. And is that individual coaching, that option?
That's currently just as a group.
Oh, that's a group one. Okay, excuse me. And then is that full, or do you still have spaces available for that?
There are still a couple of spaces left. There will be a limit on number of people because within half an hour, there's only so many people I can give feedback to. So it'll be limited to just 12 places for that. But people will have personalized feedback within that. If there are more people wanting to do it, I might add some extra dates on.
And then what would be the language level for that option to work with you? Are they advanced learners?
They need to have at least a B2 level of English. They need to be comfortable using a wide range of tenses and vocabulary so that they can keep up with everything that's going on in the session. And most of the participants will have or be working towards their C1 or C2 level.
Okay, I imagine you just have amazing conversations between people when you have all these advanced learners, but from different parts of the world. I mean, I'm presuming they're different parts of the world. Do you have, with, allowing certain time zones to take part? But yeah, I mean, it sounds kind of joyous. It sounds like a nice activity to do over the summer. Is there? Did you say there was a second workshop or a second way to?
The other one is a little bit more focused on understanding pronunciation. So this may be more tailored towards the teachers, but working specifically on vowel sounds. So looking at the difference between long and short vowel sounds, looking at why those changes happen, looking at word stress and how that influences the vowel sounds. So it's, really concentrating on the technicalities of the language. So not only for teachers, but I think the teachers will probably benefit more from the technical side of that.
That sounds amazing. So, I mean, little part of my brain's going, I could use some of this information. So perhaps not even for non-native English speakers, but like for any
Anyone is welcome.
ESL teacher who wants to learn how to improve their teaching of pronunciation in the classroom. Fabulous. Yeah. That sounds absolutely fantastic. If you, and I confess it's ignorance, but if you had asked me before, I think just before I met you, about teaching pronunciation, I would have said, you know, oh yes, I include that in my class, without actually having a clue as to the complexity of pronunciation in the English language, and like being able to pronounce words right is kind of natural. We can all do it. Doesn't mean that we can actually teach how like kind of non-native English speakers can approach English pronunciation, which is can be incredibly difficult for them. Yeah, okay, absolutely. Well, that's a potential. How do people join these classes? How do they get in touch with you? I'll obviously put links under this post, but do you want to tell me what your website is?
Yes, so it's Excellence in English Education, all one word, .com. And you can find the courses under courses and group courses, and they should be listed there. But I'll send you the links, or give you the links, so that we can put them up under the video once we've finished.
Absolutely brilliant. And then I believe you've got a good blog, and you do quite a number of kind of like free webinars and things. So like it's just a great thing when you're on Jennie's website. Make sure you sign up to the newsletter, because as well as kind of coaching specific people, you give away a ton of resources and share a ton of good stuff. So yeah, don't visit Jennie's site without signing up for that. Okay, so that sounds absolutely amazing. One question I ask all my online teachers represented in my online English teacher feature, which I like saying, is to think from the client's perspective about just how darn difficult it is to find the right online English teacher for you. Like, I think it's like, you know, if you need shoes, you go to a shoe shop, but of course there's a range and a choice, but you don't need a website to tell you what kind of shoes you're looking for. You're either climbing a mountain or going dancing. However, with English teaching and language learning, it is more difficult, because you've got this blindness between what you think you need and what would perhaps be good for you. Like I suspect few people actually search, you know, I need to improve my pronunciation, whereas so many people would benefit, like even business English people, even English for like working in hospitals, like English for specific purposes, would absolutely benefit from having this specific coaching in the world. So am I right? This is kind of difficult, isn't it? What advice would you give to people looking for an online English teacher? They know they want to improve their English. There's some pressure at work. That means they've got to do it rapidly. And so they go online and they search for online English teacher. And lo and behold, there's like 30,000, 300,000. I don't know. There's a lot of us.
There are a lot of English teachers out there. So my first bit of advice would be, for yourself, decide what your goals are. And they may not be exactly what you need, but it'll be getting you aiming in the right direction. And then don't go with the first teacher that you find just because you found a teacher, but look at their testimonials, look at their reviews, look at their experience, and find the teacher that can help you reach your goals. Find the teacher who has similar values to you. Find the teacher who has similar interests to you. Now on social media, you can find out what someone's interested in quite easily. We share so much of ourselves. I'm not saying go and stalk anybody, but get an idea of who the people are, and maybe talk to a couple of teachers before you decide on one. That's
Okay.
perfectly acceptable. Don't just make a decision because you feel pushed into something. And the other thing that I would say is that just because they say they're a native speaker doesn't mean they're the best teacher for you.
Yeah, that's almost a red flag in my book. If they have to say that, that's kind of there's a gap between all the other stuff they can be doing. Really, it's sort of it's a sign of somebody missing the point. Really. Do you offer a chat or a free? Is it a discovery call you do? What do you do?
Yeah, just a free 15-minute call so that we can get to know each other. We can decide whether we are interested, and there's no obligation from any of these calls. And even if we don't end up working with each other, hopefully I can give whoever I speak to a couple of tips to help them move forwards, or a recommendation for another teacher if I'm not the right person for them.
Yeah, and again, that's the whole point of this whole feature. It's how it should work. We should be all working with the people we can best help, and sometimes that involves passing somebody, along to somebody else whose service you respect, but it's not you. Okay, absolutely. So again, can people book that call on your website? I guess they can.
Yeah.
Okay, fabulous. All right. Yeah, okay, so let's hope that by showing shining this spotlight on you and the way that you teach, and giving people this kind of window into who you are as a teacher, is a chance for people to reach out to you and contact you, and hopefully sign up for these workshops, which number one sound amazing, and number two will sell out. So if you are interested in this, don't hesitate. Either book your call with Jennie, your discovery call, or just jump in with both feet and book yourselves onto the summer workshop. I really don't think you'll regret it, and there's a good chance you might see me in one of them. Improving my pronunciation teaching skills, because I can't just keep flying you in every time I have to teach pronunciation to a class.
You're very welcome to join us.
Although I do quite like that too. But yeah, absolutely serious. One of the things that is really important for English teachers to know is what their skills are. Like, asking an English teacher, this could be one of the discovery call questions, like, what's your speciality and what are you good at? And see if that matches up with kind of what your needs are. And personally, as a teacher, like, I know I can't be good at everything, and I know what the gaps are in my knowledge. And depending on the client, I either pass them on to somebody completely different from myself, the opposite of me, or I phone you and I say, Jennie, do you want to co-teach this class? Do you want to come and do a workshop for me? So this part of their learning is covered. So yeah, just one final tip. If you're looking for an online English teacher, make sure you understand what makes them unique and special as a teacher, and that will help you work out if you're a match. Okay, Jennie, my lovely, thank you so much for popping in and speaking to us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, what are you up to for the rest of the day? Are you exploring
couple more classes this afternoon, and avoiding the rain.
Yeah, definitely. There's a limit to how it's the last day of school today for my young ones, so I am expecting to collect an absolutely bonkers person from school at 3:30, and then the madness starts.
Well, have fun with that.
And my ability to concentrate kind of slightly dips for the next few weeks. Okay, thanks again for joining us, and speak to you soon. Okay,
Thanks,
bye-bye.
Bye.